It's the first really nice day of the year, and I know that I promised another garden project, so how to weave the willow hurdles, but it's just too nice. I need to get some stuff done in the allotment garden today, stuff to prepare it for the year ahead, tasks that I've not caught up with over the winter, and it is just too much of a glorious day to pass it by. So today on the agenda, we're going to work a little bit on the allotment. I'm going to be spreading some more wood chips in my paths. I'm going to be sorting out the strawberry bed. We're going to have a look at the pond as well. And then also, I want to have a little stroll around the site because it's been ages since I've done that. And I've noticed that a few people are working on some really fun projects. I think maybe partially inspired by some of the weaving that I've been doing recently. First up on the agenda is the strawberry bed. And I let it go rampant every year. I don't cut it back as recommended. And it actually protects the plants over winter, I feel. So at the beginning of the year, I tend to clean up my strawberry bed. And that's what I'm going to start with. So you can see that there are a lot of smaller plants hidden in there. And there's still some of the straw mulch protecting it. Also lots of smaller leaves of plants that have propagated themselves. And then on the far side, those plants look a lot larger, don't they? That's because they are older. Most of them are pine berries, so the white strawberries, and I'll be removing most of them today and then making room for new berries. Hard work is finished now, and what you'll see in my strawberry bed is that I have a double row of the Mora de Bois strawberries. I have a double row of mixed June-bearing strawberries, and there's honey yellow here and mulling centenary, and then the pine berries that were all along here. I've just lifted them all up. I've reserved a few of the small plants down at the bottom, but I don't need that many pine berries. I prefer red strawberries. The white ones are a great novelty. I like to have them with the red berries, so we're just gonna have a small patch of them from now on. What I've also done is saved a lot of the seedlings, so the self-propagated runner strawberry plants, and I have them in a bag, and I'm taking those home, and I'm gonna pot them up, grow them on, and then place them here. This bed is going to be pretty much all garlic until about late June, and there are 3 different types. So the earliest type that started growing, I would say November, December, that is a soft neck variety, and it does very well in mild climates or mild winters like we have here on the Isle of Man. I am also growing some hard neck varieties, and these are a variety that I grew last year, and I saved the cloves. And they come in a little bit later, and hard neck varieties are better for cold winters, so they can survive it a lot better. And then these over here, these are elephant garlic, and they're actually part of the leek family, not really garlic at all. The curly kale and the kalettes are looking a little bit worse for wear. I mean, there is green growth, and you can see that it is lush and green. But they've been battered, and they have decided that their time is up because they're starting to form flowers on the top. So I think that I should grab my new toy and see how it does. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen me put up a video last week of the Steel GTA 26, and I came across it last week when I was at a gardening event, and I had a play, and it is actually really incredible. It is what I keep calling a mini chainsaw, but Steel call it a two-handed pruner. So it can go through small branches, medium-sized branches, and I'm thinking also it could go through these brassica stems. Now with no-dig gardening, which I aspire to be better at, you don't dig the soil, and so you would leave the roots of these kale and of cabbage and all of that in the ground. So getting through this can be a bit of a mission, lots of hand sawing. So, but this, let's see how it does. This might actually make the job a lot easier. So there's a safety here and then a trigger. And it's battery powered and quite light as well. So I can see this being great for women, but also great for people that don't have enough strength in their upper body, elderly people who want to be able to tackle hedges and things like this. So let's give it a go. Ho-ho! Timber! When I got to the allotment earlier, I had a look inside the pond. Now, frogs lay eggs in my pond every year around Valentine's Day, and this year was no different. And there were 5 or 6 different clumps of frog spawn. They had hatched. So when I got here, there was a mass of tiny tadpoles basically just sitting on the surface of the pond. And that's because it's filled with a lot of algae at the moment. So any kind of bird could have come past here and just swiped them off the surface. So I took the matter into my own hands and did a little bit of cleaning around the outsides and gently pushed them towards cleaner, clearer water. And there's still a lot of algae in here, and I'm going to have to keep an eye on it in the coming weeks because I don't want the tadpoles or any other life that's living in the pond to get tangled up in it. They need it for food, but too much of it is never a good thing. And I'm wondering now if the frog that I found when I was cleaning out the strawberry bed just now is the parent of one of these little clumps, or maybe all of them. Goodness knows, it could be the daddy. Over the winter, my allotment has basically just hunkered down. I visited every now and again, but not too often. One thing that I did manage to do before winter is covering the newer half plot with landscaping fabric. And the bags are actually filled with perennial weeds and other bits that hopefully by this time should have rotted down a little bit. So this end of this bed, so along here, is where I'm planting potatoes this year. And the first earlies are going to be going in very, very soon, so within the next week or two. And I just want to have a quick peek underneath just to see how the ground is. Now, I had my compost piles here before, so the ground should be nice and fertile. But I did have a problem with some bindweed down on this end. So let's have a little peek underneath. It looks pretty much cleared of any grass or weeds or anything. So this will be great. I'll be doing no-dig potatoes again here. So digging them in a little bit and then covering them with manure. On my main plot, spring is definitely in the air and there's a lot of new greens. In fact, have a look at the chamomile. So I sowed this from seed a couple of years ago, and I just collect the self-sown seedlings and then replant them when I find them. And in fact, you can see quite a few of them have self-seeded here into the pathway. There've been a few people up here over the winter, and I have seen actually quite a few people up here recently in the past few weeks getting some work done. But let's see what we can find as far as inspiration for our own gardens. There are 3 rows of alliums, so the onion and garlic family in this bed. Now, on the far left, that's definitely garlic. But these 2 rows here, those look like onions. And I suspect that they are grown from autumn onion sets. Not all onions can be grown from the autumn, but if you get them in really early and you have mild summers like we do, they will help to ensure a really good crop. This person has transformed the bottom of their plot into a little pallet garden. And I can imagine leafy greens growing in this and all sorts. And it will definitely have some good drainage under there. This hurdle was the inspiration for the willow hurdle workshop, and you can see it's still standing. It looks great. I believe that it's ash that was used to make it. And I spoke to the guy who has this plot, and he's been using it to protect his cabbages and cauliflower over the winter. And funnily enough, that's what these were used for traditionally here on the Isle of Man and probably elsewhere in the British Isles. So protecting brassicas and winter crops from our very stormy winter weather. When I got to the allotment today, I spotted this all the way across the field and couldn't believe how nice it looks. So this is a plot that was recently taken on by one of our current plot holders, so they expanded. And look at their hazel fence. So it's using that same wattle technique that I shared with you in the last video for using the raspberry canes. But they spent an afternoon putting it together into low fencing. And that looks great. And it will also maybe help with blocking the wind a bit and also maybe deterring pheasants from walking in here. And I think it just looks nice. What do you think? So I'm just walking along looking at plots, and then all of a sudden I have manure envy. Oh, the stuff that we have here is all right, but this looks incredible. You can practically feel the worms wriggling through it and enriching the soil. Well, that's a lot of kale. Fortunately, it does last quite a long time if you keep it in the fridge, and so that's where it's going to stay until we eventually get through all of it. And you can just make out underneath all of the green my new trug. I ordered this from an artisan in Sussex, and he makes them in a traditional way. And you'll be seeing a lot more harvests from me this year featured inside of it. The air has definitely changed here at the allotment, and it feels like it's back to winter. So just an hour ago I was walking around here without a jacket on, and it felt like spring was right around the corner. I can't say it about how it feels right now, but I guess I'll take that as a cue to head home. Now I didn't get the wood chip paths done. It doesn't matter though, I'll come back and I'll do that next week. The important thing is that I got the strawberry bed sorted, and that is something that needs to happen right now because those plants are going to start to regrow, and I want to be able to mulch them. And also I'm going to be taking home a lot of the little baby plants that I dug up as I was cleaning it out, pot them on, and then get them going. And then eventually I will replant them back here into this bed and also into some planters. So if you have an overgrown strawberry bed and you're interested in seeing how I clean mine out, I have a video sharing step by step as to how I tackle it. I know it can be overwhelming and you don't really know where to start, so hopefully that should help you along your way. Now, you'll have noticed that I'm doing videos every couple of weeks right now, and that's going to continue for a little bit longer. I have a project that I'm working on that I can't really talk about too much right now, but you will eventually know all. So the next video I will be back and I will be showing how to make that willow hurdle. And it's something that you probably might not be able to make right now unless you have a store of willow, but it's an idea that you can bookmark for October, November, December of this year. And you'll be able to see how my willow hurdle does over this coming year as well, so that can make up your mind as to whether or not you want to build one. So I will see you in a couple of weeks, and until then, I hope you enjoyed this look around the allotment to see what's going on my plot, other people's plots, and to get inspiration for your own garden. I will see you next time, and until then, happy gardening. Bye for now.